up, world? Welcome to the South African Spice Podcast, your go-to spot for all things vibrant, spicy, and uniquely South African. I'm thrilled to be here with you for our very first episode, and trust me when I say the excitement has been brewing for quite a while. Now let's dive into a topic that's as rich and diverse as the flavors we love, being a South African Indian. I know it's a complex and multifaceted experience, and we're about to unpack it with a dash of friendliness and a sprinkle of engagement. First things first, let's break down some key terms by defining them and then acknowledging how they relate to us as South African Indians. First on that list is race. Race is a socially constructed category that groups people based on shared physical characteristics such as skin color, facial features, and hair texture. It is often used to categorize people into broad groups. In the context of South African Indians, race is a significant aspect as individuals with Indian ancestry are often categorized as a distinct racial group, separate from black, white, and colored communities in the country. The classification of race played a historical role during apartheid, influencing social, economic, and political structures. Now let's move on to ethnicity. Ethnicity refers to a shared cultural heritage, including language, ancestry, traditions, and often a sense of common history. It's about the cultural identity that a group of people shares. South African Indians have a distinct ethnic identity shaped by their Indian heritage. This includes cultural practices, languages, and customs. The Indian community in South Africa is ethnically diverse, reflecting the various regions and cultural backgrounds of the Indian subcontinent. Next is nationality. Nationality refers to a person's membership or citizenship in a specific nation or country. South African Indians share the nationality of being citizens of South Africa. While they may have Indian ethnic roots, their legal and civic identity is South African. The experience of being South African involves a connection to the country's history, struggles, and its diverse multicultural society. Next, we have culture. Culture encompasses the shared beliefs, values, customs, traditions, arts, and other elements that categorize a particular group or society. South African Indians have a rich cultural heritage influenced by their Indian roots and the multicultural environment of South Africa. Cultural practices, festivals, and culinary traditions contribute to the unique cultural identity of the South African Indian community. And lastly, religion. Religion refers to a set of beliefs, practices, and values associated with the worship of a higher power or spiritual force. South African Indians practice various religions including Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and Sikhism, amongst others. Religion plays a significant role in shaping individual and community identity, influencing rituals, celebrations, and moral values. So, in summary, South African Indians are often classified as a distinct racial group within the country, historically influenced by apartheid policies. Their ethnicity is categorized by diverse cultural practices, languages, and traditions rooted in their Indian heritage. Nationality-wise, South African Indians are citizens of South Africa, contributing to the country's multicultural fabric. The culture of South African Indians is shaped by a blend of Indian traditions and the multicultural environment of South Africa. Religion plays a significant role, with individuals practicing various faiths, contributing to the religious diversity within the community. Now, let's sprinkle in some personal perspectives on what it means for me as a South African Indian. I'm a proud Indian, born and raised by the streets of Jozi. Ethnically and culturally, I am a Tamil young lady and a fourth-generation South African. While I've traveled my own religious journey and believe and appreciate that all roads lead to a higher being, I show my faith through Hinduism. Ultimately, my experience of being a South African Indian is highly individual, shaped by personal encounters and multiracial familial histories, diverse cultural practices, and the broader societal context. Growing up in a non-Indian area in Johannesburg allowed me to learn and explore more about others, but at the same time caused me to miss out on the experiences my parents had as children. I've been in situations that I'm sure most Indian people can relate to. Situations where I've been the only Indian in the group, sometimes being the one who's too Indian, At other times, not being Indian enough, and as of late, living in another country, I find myself being the wrong kind of Indian. This brings me to why I decided to start this podcast. Not so long ago, I developed the habit of listening to something informative while in the shower, as part of my morning routine. And once I completed listening to the final chapter of the oh-so-beloved Harry Potter books, I found myself looking for something a little bit more relatable. I specifically wanted to feel closer to home and began my search looking for anything relatable to the South African Indian. After hours of searching and delaying the entire start to my day, I had to give up because I found nothing. What I did find was lots of content by amazing young Indians who were sharing their stories as first-generation Indians around the world, like the US, UK, Australia, and even Dubai. And even though I enjoyed their content, I have to admit, most of it wasn't really relevant to me. I feel that we face different challenges and obstacles while there may be similarities, but mostly I realized that as a South African Indian, we don't really have a place out of South Africa. You feel like the wrong kind of Indian because you can't respond to the India shopkeepers when they speak to you in one of the many native languages. They can't understand how you can look so Indian, shopping for Indian spices and foods, but be so, English with a weird accent. Then you call yourself African, being someone born on the continent, and because you're not actually black, that's not acceptable either. So I hope this platform is able to document, showcase, and inspire our rich heritage as Indians who originally come from South Africa. I also want to use this podcast to tell stories. Stories of our families, our heritage, our struggles, our accomplishments, and everything in between. It's the only way to truly keep our heritage alive. For me, telling stories is the best way to relive them. Lastly, I will be using this platform as an opportunity to document my own life, experiences, and perspectives. When I look back, I hope that what I share here is a true reflection of my journey and how it's shaped my thoughts and opinions. In future episodes, you'll be hearing from a number of important people in my life. You'll mostly be hearing from my husband as we go through our own memories and experiences as two South African Indians who grew up in completely different environments. My granny will share the story of how her own forefathers made their way to Durban from India and what life was like back then. The rest of my family share their stories about how being Indian shaped their lives in the Navy, pre-apartheid workplaces, post-apartheid schools, and the way we've evolved culturally as a family. I'll be bringing in some of my ride or dies, my friends who will be spilling the tea and sharing their fresh perspectives on life's major topics and those that are traditionally taboo. These topics include puberty, sex, married life, divorce, abuse and bullying, infertility, emotional well-being, boundaries, toxic family members, dealing with PCOS, love languages, stereotypes, and so much more. We'll also explore things that are truly unique to us as South African Indians, like our food, accents, our lingo, and some of the odd things we do that other people just generally don't understand. You'll be able to listen to why my husband is an atheist, my own personal battle with exploring different religions, till I found what spoke to my soul, and what it's like having a multi-religious household with those who practice Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, and spirituality. We also share details about relationships, online dating, married life, our weddings, the non-religious white one, and our traditional Tamil wedding, as well as our lives as expats as it evolves. Episodes will be released every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. South African time, of course, and will be available on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music, so be sure to subscribe and follow along. Follow us on Instagram at South African Spice, and feel free to share your thoughts, feedback, opinions, recommendations, and stories by popping me a DM or emailing me on aliciafied@gmail.com. While all these conversations will be based purely on my own experiences, opinions, and perspectives, I do hope it encourages you to share your stories with me, engage in discussions within your own circles, and spark your appetite for storytelling. So get ready to join this friendly crew of South African Indians on a journey of breaking barriers through tales, laughter, and maybe a few tears. Until our next episode, shop sweet and aware. Lots of love.